if I ever had to be caught shoplifting or on a traffic offense, I'd like you to be my cop.
I think whether you get angry or not, the outcome for you might be the same. So I still wouldn't do it.
Well, the reason I asked about the good boy side is that takes us into the kind of relationships that you have through the second visual of ours, which is, as it turns out, you making coffee.
Yeah, well, it's a work in progress, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
And suddenly Virat Kohli is responding to that, Steve Smith's responding to that, and it became a story in itself, didn't it? You making coffee and people were advising you on the consistency of the milk and whatever. Why you were putting milk in the coffee is a separate issue, because I'm a black coffee person.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, people have their preferences. Yeah. It's really quite difficult, to be honest. And that was about after 4 weeks of practice, and then Steve Smith gave me a couple of tips, and my next one, I must admit, wasn't all that impressive. So, but he did one, and I was really impressed at the quality of his. And yeah, Virat chimed in. He said that he liked the coffee, which was good. but
true to your nature, you didn't say. He said that the back foot punch was a little better, didn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, it probably didn't take too much to be a little bit better than that coffee. But like I say, it's a work in progress.
It's interesting. Virat said this, and I'm going to read out what Virat said. He said, even if you think of revenge, these guys are so nice that you cannot get into that zone. As I said, they're probably one side that has set the examples for teams on how to play international cricket. They obviously want to bring out the best they can. They're intense in their body language, but they're not nasty, and they don't do things that are not acceptable on the field. Is that something that's laid down in New Zealand cricket culture? Because I've been watching New Zealand for years. It wasn't always like that in New Zealand cricket. Is that almost something that you lay down? This is how we will play our cricket.
Look, there aren't rules. There aren't. You don't get slaps on them. We're a very competitive team, and I think you have to be to play international cricket. But how we go about what we do is what's really important to us, because I think always trying to understand, and it's not always that easy, that there is more to life, and it is difficult because you do get caught up in what we do, and we love it. It's a passion of ours, and we want to be playing really good cricket collectively, and want to make sure we're always tracking, and sometimes you do need to take that step back and make sure that our behaviours are still on what we expect of ourselves, basically, and how that looks and how that's perceived is kind of after that, but making sure that our behaviours are somewhat consistent is quite important to us as a team. Yeah.
I mean, two incidents stand out. Both of them are probably during Brendan McCullum's time as captain, but you inherited that, and you're that kind of captain. One was, of course, a reaction to playing in charge after the Phil Hughes incident, and the way New Zealand did that, and not appealing that day, and continued to play. But also, what is interesting, since you brought up Australia, I was wondering whether I should, but the reaction of Australia before the 2015 World Cup, I think it was Brad Haddon or someone, I don't remember who said that. We said they're too nice, it's almost spooky, we're going to come hard at them.
I don't know. People make all different opinions, and that's fine. And you mentioned Brendan; he was hugely instrumental in obviously leading the side in such a big way, grabbing the side really by the scruff of the neck when it was required, and we had a very talented team at that time, and got us all moving in the same direction. I sort of vaguely remember Haddon mentioning that, and it's quite a hard case now because he's, I think, assistant coach at Sunrisers. But look, everybody plays the game in slightly different ways. Everybody on the international stage naturally come from different countries with slightly different cultures that encourage people to do things in a certain way, and we're no different to anyone else, but we're making sure that we're trying to stay true to what our way might be, which people can call it whatever they want, but it's important that it's true to us, and we can keep committing to that.
Yeah, your Prime Minister is a bit like that. She's a bit of a rock star as well in the way she goes about things. But it's interesting, you and Virat chalk and cheese. You're such different people in the way you display your emotions, and that you come together. You and David Warner as well. That's a bit of a relationship. Very different. I can see from your reactions.
Less TikTok dances.
Want to do that?
He'd enjoy that. Oh no, not quite qualifying for TikTok, but his
She Lucky Javani, you and the dog, you and your dog doing She Lucky Javani.
Yeah. I don't know. She's sleeping at the moment. I won't wake her up.
Yeah. And yet he talked about the relationship he developed with you playing at Sunrisers, especially with a bit of a musical chairs with the captaincy.
Yeah, I mean, look, I took over obviously when he had the year out, and which was a cool opportunity to do that. And Davey's been the captain of the franchise for obviously a few years, certainly since I've been there. And then I suppose it was only natural to a certain extent that he was coming in to take that back, which is cool. Yeah, but look, like I mentioned before, that having the opportunity to play IPL and meet so many different guys and form relationships with people that, perhaps first impressions playing against each other, you might have a goodness me, the flies hanging around.
I thought it's an Aussie thing to have flies around you.
Yeah, well, and then you start getting to know people off the park a little bit, getting to know the actual person, and then things grow from there. But yeah, I certainly made a number of friendships throughout the IPL.
How competitive are you, Kane, as an individual? I guess when you're playing at that level, you've got to be. But there's all the talk about Virat Kohli, Steve Smith, Kane Williamson, Joe Root, some had David Warner, some had Babar Azam in it. Do you sort of keep an eye out? You're looking at the scorecard and saying, okay, I got 82 yesterday. How much did Virat get? How much did Steve Smith get? Are you the kind who sort of keeps track on what the others are up to, from a competitive point of view?
Not really, no. I mean, I certainly enjoy watching those guys. Virat taking the game to new heights, Steve Smith, and the others that you mentioned, and I sort of know a number of them, and I admire what they do. That would probably more be the stance, and whenever you have the opportunity to play against them, sometimes with, it's always a great thing. And I think the only thing you ever try and do within yourself is be as good as you can be with warts and all, I guess, as they say, with your own limitations and your own strengths.
It cannot be true. You're not telling me the truth. There's got to be that bone in you somewhere that says, come on, I'll get more than you, Virat. I'll get more than you, Steve.
Well, you're sort of playing for teams, eh? That I think is the most important thing. You always want to get more, and that's a given, whether you get more than this person or that person, or you just get what you get on the day, and you want more, and they may not be playing that same day. So it can't be that competitive, but you want to get as many as you can, so your team might be in a stronger position and winning cricket games. And I think if you're doing that, and it's less than that person next to you, but you're having an impact on the result of the game, then that's more than fine by me.
Like, I'm going to throw a few names at you, and do you look at them and say, oh, I like that aspect of this person's play, and maybe I'd like to have imported it into my game? Virat Kohli.
Yep. Yeah, most of what he does would be, I'll take a lot of that. That'd be great. Yeah.
Steve
absolutely.
Smith. How can he get into those positions and still score runs?
Yeah, I mean, which is that's the other great thing about, the people you're going to continue to mention, and certainly the two that you already have mentioned, that are leading the way in world cricket. And obviously there's so many great players that have gone before that have done the same plus so much more. And they're all different, so different. And which means that, I guess for aspiring cricketers, and we all want to hit the ball like Virat and like you say, hit the gaps like Steve perhaps, and they've all got so many strengths it's impossible to just choose one. But
let me get into Steve Smith kind of positions, and let's see if I can bat, because he's unique.
It's incredibly interesting, because you do see, and this is the impact that they have, but you see someone like Steve Smith in the Ashes and just incredible, and then you start seeing some people experimenting with those techniques in the nets and looking for the answer, the golden ticket, which, you know, I can safely say there isn't one. But it's amazing to watch people sort of perform their craft, their art, in their own way, because it's all unique.
Babar Azam?
Oh, yeah, he's, I mean, a beautiful player to watch. Yeah. Once again, I mean, his cover drives and his back foot punches, but I think the thing that is in common with so many of these great players is often the temperament, perhaps the hunger for runs, and how they achieve it is all very different. But, you know, a lot of similarities in their perhaps approach to an innings, or so I could be here all day if I...
The Warner snarl or the Warner back foot play?
I mean, probably the back foot play. I don't know.
You don't want to be on the receiving end of the other one, do you?
Yeah, I play with him probably a bit more than I play against him, but yeah.
What's the secret of New Zealand's home record, Kane? I mean, it's a ridiculous home record. Since 2017, not a series, maybe just one or two since 2013. It's a fortress. You don't always use the word fortress about a pretty country, but that's what it is. In the middle of these lush landscapes, there's this fortress you can't enter.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's not something that we think too much about, but there's probably an element of when you've grown up playing in your own conditions, and much like, I mean, there's no bigger fortress than playing in India, is there, as we've seen over the years by many teams. So, you know, there's probably elements that are similar in the fact that you know what to expect a little bit, and playing away from home, there's always that part that needing to adjust quickly. So yeah, but we don't talk about that at all. We just try and continue to improve and adapt our game, because more often than not, when we come to playing a home series, we've also been in another country, so we're having to try and adapt quickly too.
This modesty is unreal. I mean, I was talking to Nasser Hussain on this on a similar program, and he said what struck him about you was when you were announced player of the tournament at the World Cup, and you just turned around saying, "What, me?"
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, you had the right to be player of the tournament for your performance.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really consider it, to be honest. You know, my mind was elsewhere. So yeah, when I got
I'd have been very surprised if your mind wasn't elsewhere that evening.
Yeah, it was just, yeah. I was like,
but something in common. I mean, I remember Sachin Tendulkar saying he got this mammoth trophy as a player of the tournament in 2003. And he said, I'd very happily give it away to get that one small medal. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. But they didn't provide that option to me.
Just the last bit today, and we're using photographs to sort of symbolize their journey. And there's one of you playing a scoop shot in an orange shirt. And here's Kane Williamson, you know, the Fern, and very orthodox and very correct, good player. And he turns up in orange in my hometown, Hyderabad, and plays all these fancy scoop shots. Tell us a little bit about playing Sunrisers in the IPO.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the opportunity to go over and play the first season was, you know, after watching it for a number of years, it was something that you obviously wanted to do, and then to get over there and then see just the continued growth of T20 cricket. And naturally you're trying to improve your game all the time, and you know, as whether it's T20 cricket for New Zealand or T20 cricket for Hyderabad, you're wanting to keep improving those skills, and the scoop or the lap is, you know, another opportunity to access a different area of the ground, and sort of managed to play it a few times, but it's something that I'll continue to work on. But
tell us about that season. That season, suddenly, you know, David Warner is not coming. You get a call from, I don't know who you got a call from, saying, "Kane, will you be captain of the Sunrisers?" And then you go and make almost 750 runs. So there's two things I want to ask you about that. One is being captain of the Sunrisers. Were you expecting that? And second, was that your way of telling the world, you know what, I'm not just this orthodox test match batsman, come watch me play T20 cricket?
I sort of didn't so much look at it like that. It was more, once again, it's just trying to win games for your team. And so that's why you practice, and you practice hard to try and improve and develop. And the T20 game is very, very popular, and it's forever growing, and you absolutely want to be a part of it. And I know that, you know, we'd all like to hit the ball as far as Gale and all these other guys, but you know, you try and find other ways and use strengths that you might have to adapt your game. But in terms of the captaincy, you know, it was all very sudden. And it was probably a couple of weeks or whatever before, not even that, maybe a week before flying out, and for obvious reasons. And it was sort of naturally without Davey, and Davey captaining, had done a fantastic job over a number of years, but also losing him as a player. You know, he's scored incredible amounts of runs for sort of years and years, and been such a huge figure. So it was trying to come together as a group without such a big player, and the captain, and connect, and it was really enjoyable. And you know, we had a really strong team. You know, we had a good bowling attack. We played on a number of variable surfaces, and you know, we won a lot of really tight games that sort of, I think we won 9 out of the 14 pool games, which is an incredible effort. And you get to the finals, and anything can happen. But it was a great year to be a part of, and I really enjoyed the experience of captaining in a franchise. So.
I mean, you've got the odd South African in your New Zealand side, and you've got to handle those. You've got to handle those as well. But you go over to the Sunrisers, and there's guys who probably don't speak the same language as well, who come from a completely different culture, a bit wide-eyed maybe. It's managing almost 6-7 different cultures, isn't it? How tough is that for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, we coming into it off the back of obviously David being out for the year meant that, you know, you were to a certain extent standing in and had a good have a good relationship with Tom Moody, who'd been doing a fantastic job, along with the other support staff with the team, and Laxman and Murali, and so, you know, it was coming in and trying to just add to a lot of the good work that had been going on, and then obviously on the park perhaps have a little bit more involvement. And you know, it was, like I say, it was really enjoyable. We came together as a team, you know, quite a tight-knit team, you know, taking on some big teams, and had a lot of fun doing it. And it was an enjoyable campaign, and another close final against Chennai, who we've had a number of close battles with. But they've been incredible for a long time. So it was old Shane Watson, jeebus.
I know. That's the thing with CSK, isn't it? I mean, they might be limping on the field, and suddenly one of the oldies turns up and plays like that. There's different cultures in the IPL as well. CSK is one culture, Mumbai Indians is one culture, so it's a bit like a melting pot.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually really enjoyable, the different cultures. I mean, it's always been quite a popular part of playing in the IPL is you're over there as a visitor. You know, it's not your competition. You're playing a part of the Indian domestic competition, and so you're integrating yourself in a very different culture, and that is what it is, and it's really enjoyable. Along with, like you mentioned, so many other overseas from all different countries, and you're trying to connect to a similar page to try and achieve a common goal. So, I thought that the personnel that we had that year, that was one of the more special things, that we had a team that were all working in the same direction.
Where do you see cricket going now, Kane? You're obviously one of the statesmen of the game. You're one of the senior figures in the game. Post the lockdown, do you see more bilateral cricket? Do you see ICC cricket being under a bit of a stress? Do you see T20 being maybe the more money-grabbing form of the game? Grabbing's the wrong word, inducing.
Generating,
where
Well, it's very difficult to say, isn't it, with times like we're experiencing, and we don't quite know where the light at the end of the tunnel is from countries' perspectives, and they're all in different stages, and they're all trying to stem the flow of the curve and all these things. And you know, one thing that stood out is that there is a lot of discussion around generating revenue, which is natural, whether it's cricket or anything else, because businesses have clearly taken a large hit. So, when you speak about that, you perhaps throw in T20 cricket, like you mentioned, and no doubt there'll be some attraction there. All accounts, there's obviously meant to be, and hopefully still, the IPL and the T20 World Cup. And so, there's kind of meant to be a bit of a volume of T20 cricket on the calendar, but all very uncertain at this point in time. So it's very difficult to guess, but you certainly hope that sooner rather than later that, all countries can get past this thing with, limited suffering and try and get back to where we were, but move on in a bigger and better way. So yeah, it's exciting, but it's obviously worrying at this point in time. Sport's secondary to the health of people and very much. But then, I guess if we can achieve like I say, get past this nasty thing that's hanging around, then we can look forward to perhaps some entertainment, which, you start throwing sport into that conversation.
Ken, who's the cooler one, Jacinda Ardern or Kane Williamson?
Jacinda. I don't know that well, but she seems quite cool. Yeah.
You're quite cool too, but I just thought
very kind of you, but no.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kane, for joining us. Is your dog going to practice short leg as well?
Do you know what? I was thinking about that, but I don't know. She's nearly retired from her sporting endeavours. I think she's about 12 and a half. So the lateral movement's not quite what it was, but I'm not sure what the next little thing might be. But look out, Harsha.
Yeah. There you
Watch
go.
the space.
She's done well for 12 and a half. She's holding catches.
Yeah. She's, for an old girl, she's quite into her social media. So
take care and enjoy yourself. We in Mumbai are in pretty severe lockdown, so enjoy your part of the world. It's, as we often say, New Zealand's a location. You just put your camera wherever you want. You don't have to hunt for a location. So you're quite blessed from that point of view. But thank you very much, Kane. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope New Zealand continues to be the side it is and just plays cricket as it's meant to be played.
Thank you, Harsha. Thanks for catching up. And I send my best to all the people over there in India. And I hope that, like I say, we can stem the flow very soon.
Pleasure. Thank you, Kane. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks.